Welcome to the Chat with Chou podcast, hosted by Chou Allegra, well-being and belonging consultant, best-selling author, and sought-after speaker. Join Chou as she connects with both new and familiar faces, showcasing their inspiring work and businesses. Together, we will explore insightful conversations, practical tips, and valuable resources aimed at fostering individual and collective growth both personally and professionally. Let's embark on this journey towards greater well-being and belonging together. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Chat with Chou podcast. I'm interviewing some friends, and some new friends, some old friends who are doing amazing work in this world. And today is no different. So I have Angela here with me. Welcome, Angela.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll just dive right in. If you don't mind sharing a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Right, so I'm Angela Fowler, and I founded a company called Real Life Access. And the purpose of Real Life Access, what we do is we help businesses, mostly small to medium-sized businesses, but we wouldn't say no to a larger company. I mean, who would? But we help businesses make their products and services accessible to people with disabilities, and by so doing, we help them make them user friendly for everybody else. Because a lot of times, the user experience is forgotten um, alongside everything else. So we advocate for the user, and it really does help the business. It helps the bottom line of the business. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. That's amazing work. I know it's not easy work, but it's amazing work. So tell us a little bit how you got started. How did you get into this?
Well, I'm totally blind, so accessibility is a passion of mine.
Mhm.
I've got lived experience. I know what it's like to jump on a web page and try to buy something, and I can't find the add to cart button to save my life because it isn't labeled.
Yeah. Yeah.
As blind people, we don't use our eyes, obviously, because they don't work. We use screen readers, which basically read the text on the screen to us.
Mhm.
So we know where to go. We know where to, our version of clicking, basically press enter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when there isn't a text label accompanying a form field, a form control, a link, we don't know what it is. And therefore, we're not going to, I mean, sometimes we play computer roulette, but most of the time we just leave your site.
Yeah. And it's
But I
unfortunate.
want to be part of the solution. I want to.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to teach businesses what they need to do to be accessible because 25% of the population has some sort of disability. It's not just about blind people, it's about making things accessible to everybody.
Right. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for all that you do. Honestly, it is needed, and like many entrepreneurs, we launch out these businesses and we embark on these journeys, and there's often challenges on the way. There are things that some hurdles, some barriers that we have to break and to work through. So I'm just curious if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the challenges that you have faced along the way, and what keeps you going in spite of those challenges?
Sometimes when you're working with the team, when you're collaborating with other people, or even when you're just working alone, things don't happen as quickly as you want them to. So you really have to take it one day at a time. You can't get frustrated. You can't give up. Each day, take a step forward. Um, I'm one of those people when I want something to happen, I want it to happen yesterday, but that's not always
You and I belong to the same club, Angela.
last week. Come on. um, so that's why nobody would ever hire me as a school teacher, right? Here's your assignment. I want it turned in yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. And it's
Um,
fun. Yes. So how'd you work around that? When you obviously, those of us who don't always have patience for others, because we want things to be done and we're very intentional and very structured in the work that we do. And so when those things happen where things are not, you want it yesterday, it's not, here yet. How do you work around that?
you have to take a big picture view of your company.
Yes.
You have to realize that the work that you're putting in now
Mhm.
isn't going to pay dividends tomorrow. It's going to pay dividends next year, the year after that, the year after that. We're a society that wants immediate gratification. And where you can, where you can, speed up processes, optimize processes, you do that. But, we're a society that wants instant gratification. We want things done now. And the reason so many startups fail is because their founders, their CEOs, their whoever give up too soon.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Wow, that's a big that's a good and big point, point there, because when for the public, I guess, society in general, we see a business, not making a fruit, like falling, failing per se, we're like, oh yeah, they just didn't work out. But those who are still in existence, it's not that they didn't have those moments or similar moments, it's because they just never gave up. They kept pushing and pushing and pushing. So definitely persevering through all of it. It's what keeps all of us open, right? All of us business owners,
Yep.
but also it's an individual, that keeps all of us going. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to run your business from your basement.
Yeah.
Everybody wants an office that they can go in, and they want premises, right?
Mhm.
But that's for somebody that's been in business for a while and has a few clients and has guaranteed income. When you're
Mhm.
just starting out, it might be a while before you get that first client. But
Yeah.
that doesn't make you any less legitimate. That just means you haven't gotten in front of the right person at the right time.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and the more you get out in front of people, the more likely that's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, that's great advice there. And to be honest, nowadays, even people been in business for a few years and have clients, many of us still choose to work from home most of the time, right?
Oh,
I have an
absolutely.
office that I barely go to. I actually just came from the office today, and the last time I actually worked in there was 3 months ago.
Mhm.
And because I like working from home, and I'm also on the go a lot, so when I'm traveling I work where I am. So yeah, yes, it's good to have an office, but like you said, sometimes it's kind of looking at the big picture and deciding, okay, what does my business need right now in this stage, and to get to the next level. A physical brick and mortar space is not always necessary for many businesses these days, and definitely not required to be a legitimate business. And so yeah, so sometimes it's looking at that big picture, and letting go of maybe some expectations that we put on ourselves or society puts on us.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So how do you balance it all? Life gets busy for all of us, even those who don't have businesses. So how do you balance your life as a business owner, as just a human being?
Each day is different. And each day there's different priorities. Some days spending time with my family is going to be a priority.
Mhm, mhm.
Some days, like today, my family's got other things to do.
Yeah.
Um, some days the day job takes priority. The day job always takes priority. That's what's paying for the business. But
Hmm.
some days the day job's more intense than others. So you really got to take one day at a time and say, okay, what's the priority today?
Right.
And don't neglect any of it.
Yes, yes. Oh yeah, you and I are in so many clubs together, because that's my view also on life balance, right? Because often people think having a balanced life is having everything equal at all time.
It's not, yeah.
That's not possible. It's never humanly possible, right? But it's exactly how you said it. Each day, asking yourself, what is the priority for today? And sometimes even every hour, right? It's like that I had a priority set for the today, and then life happened, and I need to shift gears and shift, my attention, my energy into something else. So also being flexible, as life throws us lemons, we have to juggle it all, and adjust course as needed. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So what keeps you growing, as an individual, as an entrepreneur?
Knowing that there is desire among the business community to make things accessible. Now,
Mhm.
does that immediately translate into paying clients? No, because, people have to fit it into their budgets. People have, things have to be scheduled. It takes time. Somebody said, from meeting somebody to signing the contract, it could take 2 years. Um, but there is a desire out there.
Mhm.
And especially once people see the actual impact of having a better user experience on their customers and ultimately realize how much that's going to benefit their bottom line,
Mhm.
people want this stuff.
Right, right. So kind of bring awareness too. Like you're right, there's definitely, a desire to make things accessible because we also bring awareness to the challenges that users are having, accessing, resources out there. So I think that this is even doing this podcast also kind of bring more awareness to what you're doing, but also why you're doing it. And those who maybe, were not aware of what the challenges are out there can, start to be a little, be educated if you want, in the issues that people are facing and, how they can be part of the solution. So definitely, yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, and we have to educate in the right way too.
Yes.
Um, I think a lot of times people with disabilities play the victim and
Mm-hmm.
claim that there's an attempt to discriminate or to shut them out. But
Mm-hmm.
in fact, the reason things are accessible is just because somebody didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't realize how important it was.
Mm-hmm.
Ignorance is not, should never be confused with malice. And too often it is in the disability community, and that's something that needs to change.
Yeah. Thank you. Back to that bigger picture, right? It's so easy when, when we are the ones needing something a certain way or needing any type of support, thinking that the lack thereof of the lack of that support means that someone intended to do it on purpose, right? And it's not. Sometimes it is just like you said, people not knowing that they need to. Yes, and the way then we educate people about the needs to come from first assuming no wrong, right? Assuming
Yeah,
no.
assume goodwill.
There you go. Yes, give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and then yeah, that also you can have a productive and and healthy conversation. Because imagine if I'm already coming to any conversation with preconceived ideas, then it makes it hard for me to let my guard down, even hear what the other person has to say. Then I might appear as very defensive, which then pushes the other person away as well, instead of them, seeing the genuine need and then be willing to be part of the solution. So yeah, it definitely goes both ways. And I think you mentioned the term earlier. I think it goes broader than even the original question I asked for, like having that bigger, that bigger perspective, that bigger vision, that bigger picture.
And really taking the other person's point of view.
Yes.
You know, and I go back to websites, but
Mhm.
teach all kinds of accessibility, but I go back to websites because, we do live in the digital age, and most founders, most business owners don't look at their own website.
Mm.
They've got other things to do.
Yes. That's
Like
actually
run your business.
yes. Just have the
So,
time.
their website, if their website stinks, they might not even know it.
Hmm.
And as frustrating as it is to come across a website that you can't use or that is so unintuitive that you can't figure out how to use it, even if it is technically accessible,
Right.
you have to take your own emotions out of it. You have to take a deep breath and you have to say, okay, I'm going to assume that this person is simply unaware. And sometimes, if you're the one with the accessibility problem, it's better to let somebody else advocate.
That's a good point. Sometimes we're just too close to the issue that we can get easily emotional about it, and
Oh,
then
it's
everything gets thrown out the window. Yeah.
it is frustrating as heck, right? Because something that should take you seconds ends up taking you several minutes and sometimes doesn't even get done. And it's like you just want to, you know, you,
Yeah. Yeah.
the top of your head starts to come off it. And, you really need to divorce those emotions from the advocacy movement. Go hit a punching bag or, have a glass
There
of
you
wine or
go.
whatever the thing is. And then say, okay, how can we
Mhm.
advocate for this rationally?
Yes. Yes.
Vent to Chat GPT. That's one of the things he's best at.
One good way to use it for, right? Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah. Such a good point there. Yeah, 'cause it's so
Exactly.
easy.
Yell at Grok.
Yes.
Yes. And then when you're coming up, let's go back out there. Yes, advocacy is needed, but
Yeah.
the posture that we have, both verbally, emotionally, physically, even, is very important in how we approach advocacy. So
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So
Say,
you
okay, Chat GPT, I'm going to write this in my own unfiltered way. You translate it into something that's nice.
There you go. Because right now, even though I have the skill, right now I do not have the willingness to do so, right? It's
But
emotionally.
think about it, coming at it from the business owner's perspective, right? You're just going about your day, juggling all the umpteen jillion priorities that a business owner has, and all of a sudden this raging tiger comes in yelling because they can't use you're like, what?
I was not expecting
Where did
that.
this come
Yeah.
from?
Yeah. No, good point there. And definitely, speaking of educating, you are educating already so much, even just naturally here, but for this conversation. And it feels lighthearted for such a big issue. But this is one of the ways, right? When you kind of take the emotions away and want to be part of the solution, you approach it differently. So thank you again for modeling that for us. Thank you. So you out there supporting individuals, supporting businesses, right? And how can we support you?
Share what I do. Tell people about what I do. I do have an affiliate program, so if you're interested in marketing my services for a commission, feel free to get in touch with me, and I'm sure I'll tell y'all how to get in touch with me at the end of this.
Yes.
But really, if you're talking to a business, if you're saying, hey, this business isn't accessible, and they're like, well, I don't know what to do, which, most people don't, send them my way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. And then as we're talking, I'm like, yeah, we'll do the same. And I'm sure most of my stuff needs to be better as well. So now, but adding you as a resource for myself, and I do these interviews to introduce, my new friend and old friends to the world, so that everyone has you as a resource. But those are resources I can use as well. So I'm grateful that we had this conversation today. So where can people find you?
So you can find me at www.reallifeaccess.com. And I'm sure all my social links and stuff are going to be in the interview description.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, just go to www.reallifeaccess.com and you'll be able to find all the ways of getting hold of me.
Beautiful, beautiful. We definitely will add all those links there, that link there, and then people can access others as well. So thank you again, Angela, for all that you do. Thank you for making time to have this conversation with me. So wishing all of you, people listening, watching, a great day. Go out there and be great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Chat with Chou podcast. We hope today's episode inspired and informed you on your journey towards growth. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Follow Chou Allegra on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and more resources. Until next time, take care and keep striving for well-being and belonging in all areas of your life.